Welcome to Reality TV Cringe. I am one of your hosts, Delia, and I'm here with my real tight homegirl and my daughter-in-law, Beatrice.
Hey, it's me.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great now that I'm with you.
We have so much content to
Girl.
go over tonight. We are going to be reviewing the latest episode of Welcome to Plathville and also the latest episode of 90 Day Fiance.
Yes.
Two totally different vibes.
Yes.
Totally different vibes. And I took all the notes and such for Plathville and you did for 90 Day Fiance. But I just have to say, going right in, I didn't mind the music tonight on Plathville.
I didn't either.
I thought it was so wholesome. I actually had a tear ball.
You did?
And it wasn't just because of the music, but it was for this family and everything this family has been through.
See, I know, me too. It's very wholesome and very sweet.
And sad.
Yeah, very sad.
And Mariah's to blame 100%. I'm joking. I know she's not. But no, I thought these were actually really excellent episodes. So I'm excited to get started with you, girl.
Me too, girl.
But before we do, we have to give you the disclaimer to hide your wife and hide your kids. This is a politically incorrect podcast. We say a lot of bad words. We have dumb opinions. And we are unapologetic. And so if you're or find yourself in the dumpster.
For real, get out of here. Also, we got an Instagram at Reality TV Cringe, and we got a Patreon, patreon.com/Reality TV Cringe. We're covering Love After Lockup on there, bitches.
God. We released our first video episode of that today.
Yes.
Also, if you are watching on YouTube, please don't forget to like and comment and share and obviously subscribe. Stay connected to the raccoons. Every little thing you do helps us to grow the raccoon family. So thank you in advance. All right. Now, before we get into the episode of Welcome to Plathville, I understand we got a little message.
We did.
On our speak pipe. And by the way, if you want to leave us a message, you can talk up to 90 seconds. That's a lot of time.
It is a lot of time.
To tell us what you think. All you have to do is go to speakpipe.com/reality TV cringe and we'll listen and we might play it as well.
Yeah. We got a message. I think her name was Rachel.
Okay.
Hey girls, love the podcast. Keep it up. Never stop. I'm here with a hot take on Kim Plath. So I come from a Southern Baptist homeschool family. So I have kind of a weird insider view on her mentality. Not excusing anything that she's done wrong, which the things are manifold. But I think Olivia's toxicity and influence on this family goes way farther into the destruction of the family than we even know. And I think that in the preview when Mariah said, I feel responsible, I think it's kind of acknowledging that. I think Kim poured her life into a belief system that she was told will give you this beaver cleaver family experience. But then her kids grow up. Ethan doesn't talk to her for years? Her 17-year-old moves out. I mean, she's just totally disillusioned. She was wanting this wholesome family life. The church said, do all these things, shelter your kids, homeschool, and you'll get this perfect child and this perfect life. That didn't happen for her. And coupled with the trauma of having run over her child and caused their death, obviously it was an accident, but I can see how this is a very broken woman. And so she looks at, she looks over the ocean of her life and is like, this life with Barry was a waste. This was a lie. This didn't turn out the way I was told it was going to. And I think that the divisions that Olivia sowed and kept in that family are a huge contributing factor as to why they're all in shambles right now. What do you guys think? Love the podcast. You guys are awesome and never stop this podcast. I will die.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel. You're awesome. And that was an interesting take.
Yeah. And I think it's pretty based. I actually agree with a lot of it because I think Kim's going through kind of a midlife crisis. It probably is because of everything that Olivia did, obviously, but compound that with her oldest children just being like, fuck you, mom, you suck, you raised us terribly, we hate you, essentially for the last couple years. I'm sure that really messed her up.
Yeah, and that's the first time I've ever looked at it that way.
Yeah.
Now, of course, Hosanna, which is the eldest child, she's gone off and she's kind of stayed in the vein of how they brought her up and is kind of perpetuating the same old thing. But Micah moved away, started a modeling career, which was certainly not conventional or traditional. Ethan married in a conventional way according to their religion, but that has obviously turned out to be a shit show. Then you have Mariah leaving when she's 16/17. And yeah, I can see how she'd look back on the timeline of her life and say, wow, I did all of this. I truly believed it. I didn't eat sugar for all these years. Sugar for all
right.
these. Okay, lady. No, but I did all of these things for my children, believing, and it didn't work. None of it worked. Like 3 out of 4 of my eldest kids hate me, don't like me, or are gone.
Well, go to therapy though.
Yes.
Like go to therapy.
She strikes me as so freaking checked out. I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you doing this season, Kim?
Right.
Because all you want to do every single episode is tell a different kid about your new lover,
Yeah.
Ken Palmer. Like, nobody cares. We needed to hear that one time.
Right.
And then how are you making this family heal? Like, what are you doing to make sure that your kids feel safe
Right.
and included and a part of your life? Like, what about that? I'm way more interested in how you are parenting your children, like we see with Barry,
Yep.
versus this same thing every single week.
Right. And maybe it's because it's like the first time you've ever been happy or whatever. Or maybe it's the first time you've been happy since Joshua passed. And I get that and everything, but like slow your roll a little bit and step outside of yourself and see how your actions could be harming or impacting all of your children that you decided to have. Like, regardless of this whole divorce with Barry, you still have all of these kids' lives that you're responsible for and responsible for being a good role model too. So I don't know. It's hard for me with Kim because I totally understand and empathize with her because, I mean, she is definitely a broken woman, like Rachel said. And I saw a post recently on Reddit of somebody echoing these same sentiments of being like, well, she was raised by an alcoholic mother and like she was sexually molested or whatever as a kid. So it's like she's had a long history of deep trauma that she probably has never dealt with, honestly. And now you're 50 something and you have a million kids and you're leaving a 25-year marriage and trying to explore yourself, and that's fine. But like, I don't know. Go to therapy.
She's doing it in such an immature way. And we were talking a few episodes ago about one of the shows that we cover. And we were saying that like the moment you are significantly traumatized in your life and or like take a massive dose of drugs, you tend to be frozen in time intellectually and emotionally at that age.
Right.
And so we see Kim, who, you know, she has told us she was abused and I think she was molested in this way. And she had an alcoholic mother. She was always being traumatized as a child. And then she had continued trauma in her marriage, especially when Joshua passed. I think she's frozen in time intellectually. I think she's frozen in time emotionally. I don't think she knows how to emote in a healthy way.
Yeah.
I feel like she's numb, checked out, and just trying to get her box ate. She thinks that's life. She really thinks that's life. I have to tell you though, with regard to Welcome to Plathville, something really chapped my hide. And it's when Ethan's coming back to pick up his car, but really to see his family. And he's sitting down with Barry, and Barry is so happy to talk with him. And Ethan is like so happy to be there. And Ethan is talking to him about his new job, loading trucks, moving boxes. And he's sitting next to his father, who's college educated and who has a bomb-ass job. I don't know what that job is, but I know that it allowed him to afford all of these multiple properties. He's well off, he's well educated, and you're sitting next to your 24-year-old son who can only load boxes onto a truck because you never gave him an education, you never equipped him for this life. To me, the weight of that regret is also what might be keeping Kim completely numbed. Because if she allowed herself to feel anything, can you imagine in an honest and authentic way to really feel the gravity of what she has done to her kids?
Right.
Like, how do you go on?
I mean, really, after all of that, plus with her accidentally running over Joshua and everything, like, dude, I don't even know how she functions even the way that she does right now. Like, I know she's immature and she's emotionally disconnected, but like, I feel like she kind of has to be in order to go through life because of the shit that she has done to everybody around her. It's like,
and Barry
good
too,
Lord.
though.
And Barry's
too.
complicit.
Like, if I'm Barry in this moment, I'm like, what can I do to get my son into a new job, into a new trade, into a new profession? Although Ethan is very handy and he can own his own mechanic shop if you want. There's a lot of things that he can do and that he has done. But I would be like, what can I do to help my kids right now?
Right.
I don't know. I just felt like the juxtaposition of where they were both in life. And Ethan doesn't have the same advantages that Barry had.
No, he
They
doesn't.
took them all away from their kids, plus their celebrations. They took those all away.
Yep.
And that is sad.
It's fucked up.
All right, let's get into the last episode of Welcome to Plathville, Season 5, Episode 10, entitled I Am Not Bound to Please.
So tired of these
I
titles.
am not bound to please. We open with Ethan making his way to Cairo. He's obviously going to pick up one of his cars, but really he's going to be there to see his siblings. He misses them quite a lot.
Yeah.
We have Olivia on the couch talking about how there has been a shift with Ethan since they arrived in Minnesota because there was a block of time that Ethan was not talking to his family at all, but his family has been reaching out and Ethan has been talking to them, and now there's a change in his spirit and he seems more interested to engage with his family. So that's why he's going, and he hasn't called Olivia. He's only sent her a text.
Yep. And Olivia's not necessarily happy about him changing his relationship with his family either, because she says in her talking head, I told him he needs to keep me updated. And then the next thing I know, he's making plans without me and he's lying to me. And I'm like, well, I don't know about that.
Right.
I don't know if he's necessarily lying to you. And also, is it really your business to know what he's doing with his family if he's trying to mend the relationships with his family and he's not making you go? He's not putting you in an unsafe or compromising position by being around his family, which trigger you so much.
Right.
He is going by himself. He's made that decision to let you be at home, and you're still not okay with it. It's just really fucked up to me.
He's damned if he does, and he's damned if he doesn't.
Yep.
And so he's just like, okay, well, I'm going to go. I'm not going to have endless phone calls with you where you're making me feel bad because I want to have a relationship with my family.
Right.
And if I brought you this entire time down, you would be preparing me on how I'm supposed to act with my family. And I'd have all of these conditions, and you'd be gatekeeping my connection with these people. And I don't want that. It's too much. So just give me a break. Let me see my family.
For real.
And I'm happy. Be free.
For real.
Hashtag
Fly,
free
little bird.
Ethan. So he gets to the Plath home and they open the door and all the little girls,
They're
Cassie
so
and Mercy and Amber, so
excited.
excited to see Ethan and Micah's there.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I thought this was so sweet. And Micah was saying that this is like the first time him and Ethan have really been at home together in a really long time. So it's really special. And Ethan talks about how he's kind of thought about missing out on the little kids' lives and everything over the past few years. But he says something pretty interesting. He's like, I don't think anything would have changed it though. Like it doesn't matter if I was in a different headspace or whatever back then, like it still would have happened the way it needed to happen. So I don't want to dwell on it. And I'm like, dang, okay.
Yeah, he's been introspecting,
Yeah.
I think. He does ask the kids whether Kim has been around. And they're like every now and again, maybe every couple of weeks. So she's not spending a whole lot of time with her family. Maybe they're going over to the dance studio apartment. But
Yeah,
somehow,
maybe.
I don't think so. And I also think she has since relocated to somewhere in Florida.
Really?
Which is something I heard probably on Reddit. So don't take my word for it. But I think she's spending a lot of time in Florida. So I don't even know if she's around that much. Those poor girls.
Yikes.
Yes, it's a bummer. They go into the living room and they start playing the guitar and singing.
I love
and
this so much.
It was really wholesome.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
I love it a lot. I come from a musical family and we all play instruments and shit. And I just loved this so much because both Micah and Ethan start playing the guitar and the girls are like little singing with them. I'm just like, my heart.
It's like the thread that connects all of them. And when we get to Mariah and Lydia, we also have a musical thread there. And I just thought it was really special, which is saying something because, of course, we usually lament anytime Mariah opens her mouth to sing.
For real.
But this was actually pretty lovely. After this, we bop on over to Victoria, Minnesota, and Olivia is meeting with some rando person who's not actually her friend. It's a producer plant. And we're having a conversation with this person so that Olivia can start to discuss how she feels about her wedding vows and where she is right now with her relationship with Ethan. I felt the entire scene was disingenuous.
Yep.
I think she is currently, as we're watching, she's currently on a campaign to start to malign Ethan, especially when she's sitting on that couch, girl. And she's talking about how Ethan doesn't want to have kids with me. He doesn't want me to be able to influence our children. He doesn't want our kids to be anything like me. Those are such vilifying statements.
Yep.
Do we believe her? Is there a kernel of truth here with that?
I'm sure there is a kernel of truth in that Ethan's like, well, we have very differing opposing views, and I don't want you to like tell our kids that my beliefs are shitty or vice versa. Like, it's probably something like that,
right?
Where he tried to explain it to her, like, we need to come to some kind of agreement. Like, it's fine if we differ on some things, but if we are so far apart on these major issues, then how are we going to raise kids? Like, that's a valid...
That's super responsible and enlightened.
Yes. So I think she's totally, like you said, on a campaign to make him evil.
So didn't he ask in this season alone, like twice, when they're having kids?
That's the thing too.
Like, he has been asking her for children.
Yep.
And the way she's trying to contextualize it now is like, no, he's saying no to children because of me and my values.
Yeah, okay.
Because of my integrity. He doesn't want to have kids with me. But
Show me the footage.
Yeah, me too. Because I feel like he's been asking you for kids and you're probably the one. But that's just me and my bias with Olivia. I'm so biased against her because I just don't believe anything that she says. So at this conversation with this lady Maya, she's talking about her vows and how when she took her vows, and we see a flashback, she vowed to let Ethan lead, to obey, to follow, and how now, year of our Lord 2022, when this is being filmed, she just doesn't feel that way anymore because she wants to be an equal, which I think is valid. But do we think that Ethan doesn't want her to be an equal or doesn't treat her like an equal?
No.
Because I think Ethan accommodates and adjusts his entire life for her all the time. Hence,
all the time.
Moving every single year. And he's like, every time we move, it sets me back.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, does that mean in your career, in what you're trying to build for yourself? How does it set you back? But I believe him.
Oh, yeah.
But he does it anyway because she's an equal partner or more in that relationship. What did you think?
He's always standing up for her. He's always trying to comfort her, and he's trying his best, even though he comes from a fucked up family that doesn't know how to communicate properly or emote like real human beings. Like, he's trying his best to deal with Olivia and her irrationalities, but it's never good enough for her. And the whole wedding vow thing, I've watched this episode 3 times, and I noticed on the 3rd time when she's telling her friend Maya, my vows were to obey and submit to him. Then the producers do a really nice dirty edit. And the vows that they showed were just her saying, I vow to respect you and love you and like treat your opinion like it would be mine and like respect you and just be a good wife.
Right.
Like, there's nothing in there that says I'm vowing to obey you 100% and be the dutiful, what's that, Handmaid's Tale? Like, she's acting like it's that.
Yes.
And it's not that. Like, marriage is about mutual respect. You've never respected Ethan. That's clear in all of your actions from the last several years. And now you're going to flip the script and say that it's him this whole entire time? I'm not buying it one bit.
I just don't see it in terms of the facts and what we're seeing on film. It feels like Ethan does a whole lot to make sure that you're happy. And I really think that Ethan expected your relationship to vastly improve once you got to Minnesota because you had been telling him the reason that you're unhappy and miserable is because of his family. And so if he takes you away from his family, this is going to give you the opportunity to build into a new marriage. But no, you immediately start separating yourself more. And one thing I wanted to point out here, at the beginning of this conversation with Maya's like, what's up? What you been up to? And she's like, oh, just bartending school. And I think Maya's like, have you been traveling? And she's like, a couple of trips coming up here and there, but not much. And then when we get to Barry and Ethan, Barry's like, so is Olivia traveling a lot for her photography business? And Ethan's like, I can't even keep up. She's always gone. You know, she'll tell me she's not going to be here. And I'm just like, oh, okay. I don't even know where she's going. Something about that sat a little weird with me. Like, is she traveling and going places and doing things with other people, telling Ethan that it's for her business?
I wouldn't be surprised.
When really she's going to St. Lucia for another reason, because may I remind you on Watch What Happens Live,
yes,
Micah
girl.
implied that if anybody in that relationship cheated, Ethan or Olivia, it wasn't going to be Ethan.
Yeah.
Meaning it was going to be Olivia. So I'm like, where are you going, girl? And what are you doing?
Girl, she got the 7-year itch. There's got to be some kind of playing around here or whatever, because her whole story that she's unhappy because of Ethan's family is bullshit now that we're in this season. And that's fine if you're unhappy with Ethan, like more power to you, and you deserve to like get out of an unhappy marriage and be happy with somebody else. That's fine. Just be fucking authentic about it. You can't help but like throw them under the bus and have these nasty digs and these passive aggressive conversations with these fake ass friends that you don't even care about and don't even know. Like, mind you, this whole conversation with her friend, like she's only talking about herself too. So I'm just like, this is so stupid.
It is.
I can't stand
it's really
her.
Stupid. And as she's on the couch, the producer asks her, "Are you thinking about walking away from your marriage?" And she says something like, "Well, I mean, it's not my choice, but at the same time, you know, I'm thinking about what it is that I want to do for myself." But so she's implying again that this is not something that she actually wants to do, that this is more Ethan's choice, just like Ethan doesn't want to have children with me. Ethan also doesn't want to be married to me.
When Ethan and his talking heads this whole episode and this whole season is like, I hope me and Olivia can work things out. I love her so much. I care about her so deeply. All I want to do is work on my relationship with Olivia. And when Barry invites him to the California trip, Ethan's like, I don't want to go because I want to work on things with Olivia.
Right.
So like that's been his first priority this whole entire time. And Olivia's implying that he's going to leave her. Okay. I mean, I kind of hope he does leave her.
Yeah, I would be so shocked if he's the one who initiates this divorce.
That'd be great.
Spoiler, they are now separated and on their way to a divorce. But I don't know. I still think she's puppet master orchestrating the entire thing and trying from this point on to frame him as the bad guy in the relationship. When the fact of the matter is, Olivia, you've just changed.
Yep.
And you know what? That's okay. You married him when you were 18 years old or 19 years old. You were young. You didn't know who you were.
Right.
You hadn't lived on your own yet. You got out on your own. You were able to develop your passions and your interests. You discovered that this guy's never going to change. He's got his values, his core values and his beliefs. Yours shifted and started to grow, change. And that is entirely okay. But call it what it is.
Right.
You don't have to demonize him as you're walking out the door.
Yeah, exactly.
You just don't have to do that.
Gross.
Okay, so after this, we head on back to Cairo, Georgia, where Barry gets off work and he sits down with Ethan. And I thought this was a really beautiful scene because, and Ethan even references how just a little while ago, he almost got into a physical altercation with his father.
Yeah.
But they've come a long way. And what this says about Barry is that he's forgiving, he's quick to forgive, and also that he prioritizes and truly loves his children and wants a relationship with his kids. And so they're just having a regular schmegular conversation. Barry's like, "What are you down here for? Are you here for your cars?" And Ethan said, "Well, yeah, but also to see you and the siblings. That's the main reason I'm here."
That was so freaking sweet. And like Barry just has the biggest smile on his face this whole entire time, like actually emoting like a human being. And it's just really like wholesome. And I love that Ethan has grown enough too to like move past some of his anger with his dad too, and like look at him like, wow, he's actually really changed and prioritized us. And I really appreciate that. And so I hope that this is just like the start of them mending things and like the whole family kind of coming back together, because it seems like all of the siblings are really missing this big family unit that they grew up with. And I mean, why wouldn't you? Like, if you had a decent enough childhood, despite like the homeschooling and the religious indoctrination and like all of that stuff, all that aside, they at least had like a family that seemed to love each other, you know? I don't know.
Absolutely. Yes, they were knitted together and they shared a lot of values, and you can tell that the older kids look back on that really fondly.
Yeah.
And I think this is why Ethan is returning to Georgia, because he needs this. He can feel his relationship with Olivia falling apart.
Yeah.
They are no longer on the same page, and he just needs kind of that soft place to land, which is his family. And Barry is just the perfect parent here, giving him that soft place. So happy to see you, son. It's like the prodigal son from the Bible.
Yeah.
And the wayward son comes back, and the father doesn't matter where you've been, who you've been with, lying down with pigs, which, you know, we don't mean to say that's Olivia.
Well,
lying down with pigs, you're home, let's have a party. Like, he's just got that energy, and I really love to see it. He asks about Olivia and her business, and to the camera, Barry says, you know, my main thing is I want to just connect with Ethan.
Yeah.
It's really awesome that he's home. I want to make sure this relationship is on track. And, at some point in the future, I would love to get things back on track with Olivia so we can be civil. We can be in the same room at functions and we can at least be superficially nice.
That was great.
Right.
That was so good. And like, even with all of this too, Ethan in his talking head is like, Dad's opening up to me about the divorce and all of that, but I don't want to get into anything with Olivia because that will just make tensions worse.
And I want to ask you, why? Why would that make tensions worse?
Because Olivia would be mad about it.
Or they would be mad about it.
Oh, Barry and them.
The family might not like Olivia even more. Yeah, so it would make that chasm even wider.
Oh,
that
yeah,
divide
totally
even
would.
wider. Yeah.
Totally would.
Yeah, but Olivia probably wouldn't want Ethan to be talking about her at all. So he does seem pretty stiff-lipped, even when he's talking, for example, with Micah on the right. You can tell his face is really red and he doesn't want to say much, but he also really, really wants somebody to talk to.
Yeah, he has nobody to talk to about it.
He does not. He asks Barry about Kim.
Yeah, and he doesn't even say mom.
He doesn't. He says Kim.
Yeah. He's like, so Kim's not around, right? Not at the house anymore. And Barry's like, yep, she moved out. I'm like, dang. And Barry says that they have like 50% custody or whatever. So she gets the kids 50% of the time. Mm-hmm. But then the kids, when Ethan came by or whatever, said, oh, she's here every now and then.
Right.
Interesting. Wonder where the truth is with that.
I don't know. It's not with Kim. The truth is not in Kim. This scene ends with Barry inviting Ethan to join him and Isaac as they travel out to LA to visit Micah. And Ethan just gets this smile that honestly we really haven't seen since season 1. That boyish, oh my gosh, I'm going to hang out with my dad and my bros. This is awesome. He gets a smile that makes me really see and believe that he wants to come back into the fold with his family. And this is why Olivia is so threatened.
Yeah.
This is why Olivia is so put out, because she ain't going to stop him. Mm-mm. This is what he wants. He wants to go home.
Yep. And that's why maybe that's why she leaves. Because she's like, oh, you want to get back together with your family? Then cool. Peace out. I'm going to find myself.
Right. She will take that as a rejection as opposed to helping him to make that connection and doing whatever she can so that he's healthy and happy and has what he needs. And she is healthy and happy and has what she needs, which I think Ethan wants for her, but she can't do it.
Yep.
She doesn't know how to do it. Next, we go to Tampa and we have the scene with Mariah and Lydia. And I thought this was sweet. Mm-hmm. When they pulled out the speaker to play some of their music, I was like, is this going to be your solo songbook music? Because if so, I need a drink.
I braced myself for it.
But they pulled up some of their old gospel songs, and we were able to see some of the photographs from when they were a Christian traveling band.
Yeah.
They did that for a few years.
Yeah, they have 2 whole albums out. I went and looked them up and everything.
Oh my gosh.
And it's all auto-tuned, which I'm like, Mariah and Lydia, do you not know auto-tune exists for your own singles? Like, I feel like it would have been a lot better.
May I make a recommendation? But it's cute because they play one of the songs and then both of the girls start singing again. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling something in my cold, dead heart. And then they play a song that Mariah doesn't recognize and it's actually Ethan singing.
I know.
And I was like, this is so sweet.
It was so cute. And Ethan's voice kind of reminded me of my grandfather's, like that old-timey, like just like sweet Christian guy singing, because my papa used to do that. He used to play the guitar and everything and just sing old-timey songs. So I really loved that.
I did too. Lydia's like, wouldn't it be cool if we could get the whole family back together? We could just sing some of these songs together again.
That'd be awesome.
And Mariah gets really morose. Her face kind of falls, and we start talking once again about her troubles with Ethan and how she has blocked Ethan and Ethan can't talk to me that way and that there were issues, which, we've already heard before, so we don't necessarily have to talk about again, because the more interesting thing that she ends up saying to Lydia is that she blames herself for the downfall of her family.
Yeah.
She thinks that trashing her family publicly on the national stage vis-a-vis this show, throwing them under the bus, talking mad shit about her parents is what led, maybe that was the first chink in the armor of the family, but it led to its ultimate destruction. And you know what? I don't want to put that on her
No.
because the divorce between Barry and Kim, that's on them. But at the same time, I feel like and I don't want to put this on her, but I feel like she did a lot of damage to this family and the culture of this family.
Yep.
And shaming this family and like trying to humiliate her parents.
Yeah.
And she says Olivia is partly responsible for that.
Of course.
Because of course, we think Olivia was the Pied Piper trying to lead those children out of the Plath family.
Yep.
But it was ultimately Mariah's decision and Micah's decision and Ethan's decision to throw them under the bus.
Yeah.
And maybe that was the first wobble for Kim.
Maybe. And I mean, she talks about the ripple effect. Like once you have one division in the family, it just rips and rips and rips until there's this huge cavern between everybody. And so I was happy to see her take a little bit of responsibility just because that's good for growth, like personal growth and just understanding how your actions affect everybody else. And I thought it was interesting how part of her frustration with Ethan comes from this idea that he hasn't really stood up for the family.
Yes.
And he's been trashing that
too.
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, so you were trashing the family. Now you've come around and now you're frustrated that Ethan is still trashing the family or still has his anger and everything about it.
Or that he did it in the first place because he's the eldest son. And
yeah,
whether Mariah was selfish or not, the fact of the matter was she was 16 years old.
Right.
17 years old.
Right.
Ethan, you were an adult and your wife was doing what she was doing. And so I think she's really disappointed that Ethan allowed that to happen and allowed even her and Micah to say the things that they did about the family and even celebrate when they did.
Right. And not say anything, not do anything about it. He just let it happen for years. And he's still kind of complicit in it because he's not willing to admit that Olivia is the problem in the family. Like
I really hope if we get another season, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but if we get another season, I really hope we get some truth out of that guy.
Please. I really hope. But I'm kind of worried like with how his Instagram post was when they announced their separation. He was very like short with his words, careful with them. He didn't say anything mean. Meanwhile, Olivia's has been snarky this whole entire time, but like she would kind of deserve a little shade thrown back at her.
I think so. 100%. I felt so bad for Mariah.
Me too.
And that's got to be really heavy to sit under.
For sure.
But you know what? It is not her fault. Again, she was a minor. And I feel like 99.9% of the responsibility of the dissolution of this family is on Kim Plath.
Yeah.
And when we get to the next scene where she's talking to Amber, Kim actually takes some responsibility for her part in things.
I guess.
I'm like, it was the whole part.
Yeah.
It was the whole enchilada.
Yeah.
Is your responsibility for things. But yeah, I felt bad for Mariah. I felt those tears. I even had a little mist in my eyes watching her. I did. And I normally I'm like, shut up. Stop singing. You're so maudlin. Cheer up. You're young. You're beautiful. Your body is flawless, honey, in your little velvet shorts. Your life is ahead of you. You don't even know. But she's 19. She's 20.
Yep.
She's really wanting her family and she's hurting. And I felt bad for her.
Well, yeah, it's really hard to go through a divorce, especially in a family this big and everything. And then it's hard to realize that you've hurt your family in the process and then have to like take responsibility for that and grow from it. And it can be hella depressing. But like, girl, cheer up, buck up, be there for your family, you know?
The only time we have is the present.
Exactly.
So make the most of it, my dear. Next we go over to Amber and Kim. They are at Kim's dance studio apartment, which is really beautiful. I say it every single time, but these people are loaded.
I know.
That is a nice apartment.
Yeah.
And Kim wants to have another conversation with another child about her cheating, adulterous, ass ways.
Are we going to do this every
poor
episode?
Little Amber has to have this shit visited upon her innocence, and I'm resentful. And her eyeliner was really bad, Beatrice.
I'm telling you.
I'm like, your upper lid eyeliner is like not even touching your lid.
I know.
It's, what are you doing?
It's the booze, dude. She's drunk.
She's drunk. She's just like, what's up? Really? She's not drunk.
I think so.
She needs to go to a makeup counter. She needs to have somebody do her makeup professionally.
Why isn't TLC doing it?
What? Mary Brown. Why haven't they given some hair and makeup to Mary Brown or any of those women? It's been 12 seasons, 18 seasons. I'm sorry.
They know what they're doing.
They
TLC.
know exactly what they're doing. So what did you think of this conversation between Kim and Amber.
Well, I was kind of hoping for more snarkiness from Amber. I was
Right.
hoping for more of an attitude because they show the flashback of her last season being like, well, why are you expecting dad to move out? Shouldn't you be the one to get out of here, mom?
Such a good iconic scene.
So I was really hoping for some kind of comment like that of like, yeah, that's pretty sus, mom, that you're dating another guy. And like, why are you telling me about this if you're not planning on marrying him yet? Like, I don't know. But Amber seemed okay with it, kind of. She's like, well, I have my own feelings about it, but I love you and you're my mom. And I guess she had gone into this conversation knowing already that she had been dating Ken.
Yes, because she had already heard from her siblings and or her father, other people who are trying to take care of her.
Yep.
So she already knew. Kim hadn't even talked to her about it, but she already knew. It's just all so bungled and terribly handled. I have no respect for you as a parent, Kim.
None.
But I thought Amber handled it as best as she could. And she says
did.
to the camera, like, it's not really what I want, but, you know, but then I decided to be appreciative, which is so mature. She's
Wow.
like, I'm happy that my mom is happy. And Ken seems like a nice person, like YOLO.
And she's like 14, right? Like, I would not have been that emotionally mature. I would have been so mad.
I feel like she's a little ticking time bomb.
I'm
I'm like,
hoping.
she could go a couple of different ways
Yeah.
as those hormones start cycling through that little body. She
Yep.
could go demon mode or she can go angel Lydia mode. I'm very curious to see which she's very smart.
She is.
And she has her own opinions, which
Yeah.
is why Kim was rightly afraid to tell her.
For
And so
sure.
Kim was so
Relieved.
happy.
Yeah.
She was like, oh my God, really?
She's
You're
like,
okay?
finally, because all the older kids express their discomfort,
Negativity.
negativity.
Yeah.
That's the right word. Yeah. With all of this. So I'm so glad that at least I have one kid
Right.
that's happy with it.
For now. But you fucked her up.
Yep.
This girl's now fucked up. So that's on you, Kim.
Yep.
And then, of course, the final part of this episode, we have Ethan and Micah making the trek from Cairo all the way up to Minnesota, taking that car back, but really facilitating a conversation that these two brothers really need to have. And so there were some things that came out in this conversation that I thought were interesting. For me, for example, when Ethan just kind of out of nowhere starts saying that love hurts.
Yeah.
You know, love hurts. When Joshua died, it hurt. And then Micah said, it still hurts. When our dog Ruby died and we had to put her down, that hurts. When Olivia changed and became a totally different person, that hurts. I'm just like, he needs somebody to talk to
He
really bad. He
really
really
needs
needs
somebody.
therapy.
Yes.
Micah's not the person. I think Micah's going to do his very best.
Yeah.
Micah's energy alone, to me, transmutes people. Like, I don't know. I'm trying
Totally.
to say something here. I think Micah's presence is so chill
Yeah.
and lovely and accepting that Ethan can feel safe to off gas in front of Micah, and Micah's not going to judge him.
No.
Micah's maybe going to talk from his perspective, but he's not going to do it in a judgy way, and that's going to help Ethan to process.
Yeah. And I think that's what Ethan really needs, honestly. Like
That's
I'm
why
sure,
he wanted to go.
Yeah. And I'm sure Micah's like happy to just be talking with him about anything and everything. But like for Ethan, who's been emotionless pretty much the last several seasons we've seen him, like he hasn't really been the happy-go-lucky guy from season 1 for a while. For him to just open up with love hurts and I'm really tired of it hurting. I'm like, damn, your like heart is broken right
Yes.
now. It's broken because you miss your fucking family, even though you don't really want to admit it. You miss them a lot. You miss how it used to be before Olivia came and fucked it all up. You miss Olivia and who she used to be. And it's fine that she's changed, but she's changed in such a way that you can't really grow with her. That's the problem. And then all of this stuff, like, I'm just like, I feel really bad for him. And Olivia's really messed him up because love shouldn't hurt this bad.
Well, but I mean, when you get married at 18 years old, it's going
That's
to
the thing.
hurt.
Yeah.
And I really can't, as much as I don't like Olivia, I cannot blame her for becoming her own person. And then that not aligning with who Ethan is, that's really
Yeah.
not her fault.
I guess.
But I do feel bad for Ethan in this moment. He kind of opens up the conversation by saying, I spent 1.5 to 2 years really sad.
Yeah.
Like deeply sad because Olivia changed. And I asked myself, is it because of mom? Did mom make Olivia change? Or is it something in Olivia that caused her to change? But whatever happened made me really sad.
Well, I'm like, what did she change so much that has been devastating to him? The religion?
Yes.
I mean, but like, then she would have to be like an atheist then, right? Because that to me is like the only realistic scenario that would make Ethan so devastated, right? Like if she just completely denounced all of it and was like, I'm an atheist, I don't even believe in any of it, all of this shit is stupid, your beliefs are stupid, if she reacted like that. But it doesn't seem like she is.
No, I don't know what exactly the change is, because she's just saying it's political and it's social. I can guess, but I can tell you what caused the change, and it's fame. It's this television show. And as soon as she felt she had a platform to model herself as the better person, or the person with superior morals and values, she took that all the way. And I think virtue signals and makes herself out to be a certain kind of person. And I don't even know if I believe that she's actually that kind of person. The person she wants us to believe that she is, like if she were actually that person, I would vibe with that. We probably align in most ways, politically, socially, and otherwise. But I don't believe her.
Yeah.
And I can imagine that's very confusing to somebody like Ethan, who just wants to connect. And I want to connect to the person that I thought you were. And now who are you? And why are you this person?
Right. And it's like, it's not like she changed so much over a long period of time. Like they've only been married for 4 years. So I'm sure that's also shocking for him too. Like just, okay, like 2 years ago we were vibing and we were fine, and now everything is completely 100% different, and I don't even know how to like mesh with you anymore. So I'm sure that's why it's heartbreaking.
What happened? Well, welcome to Plathville happened. And what's going to happen to Olivia for real when Welcome to Plathville is over, or she's not invited back to Welcome to Plathville because she's no longer a Plath?
No, I've been seeing so many comments online being like, I want to spin off with just you. I want to see just you in your life. I don't care about the Plaths. Like people hate the
reality
Plaths.
is that nobody wants to see that.
I don't fucking want to see that.
I don't think anybody is actually going to watch that.
I ain't watching that shit.
I think Olivia, in terms of the national consciousness and the reality television consciousness, is only important insofar as how she relates to the Plath. That sounds the Plaths. That sounds terrible, but that's what we're interested in. We're interested in her impact on this family. We're interested in how she's actually in a relationship with Ethan, and I would be interested to see what happens to her afterwards. But under no circumstance do I want to follow this woman and her life, because she doesn't tell the truth. No. I really don't think she tells the truth.
She's a liar.
And everything's a setup and a con.
She's a master manipulator. And I was thinking while watching this episode with like her and her sister Lydia Grace, I'm like, they must have come from such a fucked up family to both be like these crazy, manipulative, shady people, like where everything has to be a fight, everything has to be a conflict. They're always reacting to something. Like their family life must have been much more messed up than the Plath,
I
in
think
my
so
opinion.
Too. Yes, I think that you have a microcosm of inter-family politics, and like who's the kid that gets the most favor, and it sounds like Olivia was always vying for that, and she was a narc, and she was turning Lydia Grace and the other kids in, and so it just sounds like it was pretty terrible. So I think there's hope for Olivia. I think she's got a lot of raw materials. She can turn that around. And again, I say at her age, I was an absolute monster. It's an absolute monster. Totally
I was too.
Unconscious. I was a free radical on the planet, damaging everything I contacted. So there's hope for Olivia, but I am not buying what she is trying to sell.
Nope.
Now, the other thing that they had a conversation about in the U-Haul on the way to Minnesota was Mariah.
Yes.
So what did you think about that part?
With the whole music conversation.
Right.
So Micah brings it up and says, well, Olivia stole her music and held it over ransom over Mariah. And Ethan immediately is like, no, that's not the case. But I'm like, I was trying to remember while I was watching this, has Mariah talked about her stealing the music? Has Mariah said, Olivia stole my music and didn't give me the passwords?
I don't think she said it so plainly as that. I think she implied it, that one day she wanted to get into the account and she noticed, I'm unable to get into the account.
Yeah.
So she wrote Olivia and said, hey, can I get the login information? I want to get my music. And that is when they started to have a back and forth. Olivia didn't respond right away. And so within a day or something, Mariah responded to her non-response saying, I'm going to get a lawyer. And then Olivia nuked the account, sent her files, and then said, take all of my pictures off of your Instagram, because if you don't, I'm going to copyright claim them.
Right.
So it sounds to me, Lynn, tell me what you think. It sounds to me Like, Mariah doesn't know technology.
Yeah.
She didn't know how to log into the account that Olivia had set up for her.
Right.
And potentially maintained for her. And at some point when she knew that Olivia had called out Kim, her mother, for stealing from Ethan, she knew she didn't want to be affiliated with Olivia anymore. And so there was already conflict and problems. She asked for the information, and that was the last straw. And turned around and probably framed it as Olivia was going to take my music.
Yeah.
I don't think Olivia was trying to do that.
I don't know. I don't think so either. I think Olivia was probably being a little bit more shady than what she's implying, though.
Petty, certainly petty.
Petty. Like the older sister type of thing of like, oh, well, no, I never said that. Like, you're just lying. You're just trying to get me in trouble with mom. Like, it's like that kind of a vibe for me, where I think Mariah's being a little dramatic too, because she's like, I'm going to get a lawyer and get my stupid music.
Sure
and
you are.
My $5 that I made from my music, like you stole from me. Like, that's a little ridiculous. But I'm just like, also kind of tired of hearing about this whole plot
me
line.
as well.
Like, I'd rather hear about the whole credit card MLM thing with Kim and Ethan.
100%.
I'd rather get all the sides from that. I'm tired of hearing Olivia just like play the victim with this whole Mariah music thing. Like, it's done. You gave her music. Can we just be over it?
Right.
But she's so fucking bitter and so aghast that somebody could accuse her of stealing and holding this music ransom over Mariah that she's just going to milk it for all that it's worth and continue to cause tension within the family, because now it's tension between Micah and Mariah, because Micah's siding with Mariah and Olivia used to be friends with both of them, and now she's like, fuck y'all.
Right.
I'm just over it.
Yeah, I'm kind of over it too. And I really wish they would have just talked about the social media post, because that is what Ethan is really upset about. And that would have led into a conversation about the credit card that Kim allegedly took and ran up and made Ethan pay. And like, I want to hear more about that, because of course, when Kim had the opportunity to address this, she's like, I know my truth. I don't have to tell anybody my truth. It's my truth. So I'm like, okay, so then if there's an accusation out there against you and you're not going to defend it, we have no option but to kind of believe what the accusation is.
Exactly.
But if we could have Ethan in the U-Haul truck with Micah, maybe elaborate a little bit about why he's pissed about the social media post, because I can attest to the fact that mom stole from me.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to hear that.
Yes, I would love to hear that too. And then maybe it would help Mariah and Micah not be filled with rose-colored glasses, you know, over their mom and stuff, because they're both kind of trying to be in better faith with Kim. And I'm just like, okay, your mom's not an angel here. Like,
Right.
she's not perfect. Like, she's done some shitty shit too.
Absolutely.
So there's truth to all of it. I'm just tired of like Olivia milking it just for the cameras and for drama.
I'm tired of Mariah milking
I'm
it
tired
and
of
blocking
Mariah
people
milking
and not
it.
talking about it. It's dumb.
Right.
Get over it.
Grow up.
I'm over it.
Yeah.
This episode ends with Ethan sitting on the couch saying that he can say 100% with certainty that Olivia did not steal. He did not steal. And anybody who says that they did is lying.
Okay.
Mariah. That's what he wants to say, but they're lying.
Yeah.
So, okay. I don't know. I actually think it's maybe a misunderstanding.
It probably is.
It's not that deep.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking too.
We then go to the preview and we see Barry and Kim sitting at a table watching Mariah ballroom dance. And Barry's telling the camera that he does not condone Kim seeing Ken Palmer, but what can he do about it?
Oh my God, he is seething.
He looks mad.
He
He
is
looks
so
uncomfy sitting there next to Kim. I'm like, oh, Lord Jesus. But he showed up, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
He showed up. Then we see Mariah calling while Micah and Ethan are in the U-Haul and saying that she's not going to apologize for something she's not sorry for.
Okay.
Okay, Christian girl.
Okay.
Come on. Just put your shit down. Pride cometh before a fall. Say, I'm sorry. I should have paid September's rent. I mean, I'm offended that you yelled at me, but we can get over this. You're my brother. I love you. It's really not that hard.
Right.
But she doesn't want to do that. And finally, we see Olivia FaceTiming with Lydia Grace, who is a iconic shit stirrer.
Yep.
What are you going to do if Michael walks into your house after texting you and saying he just wants to keep it light and airy? And she's like, I can't be fake. Olivia says, I don't know how to be fake, so we're going to have a conversation about it.
Okay. Okay.
If anybody on this show knows how to be fake, honey, it's you,
It's
Olivia.
you, bitch.
You've been being fake.
For real.
So I'm here for it.
I'm loving
And
this
I was
season.
reading Reddit before I actually watched the episode, and people were like, oh my God, so boring. And they're singing again. And so I was going into it like, oh Lord, this is going to be terrible. But I actually really liked this episode.
Me too.
I like seeing the kids coming back together. I like seeing Barry kind of centered in the middle of that family. I like seeing Kim being so shallow.
Yeah.
That all she has in her life is to talk about Ken Palmer to her kids who don't want to hear it anymore.
At all. Like,
I like it. I loved it.
love it. Even the Olivia shit, I'm just like, oh, bitch. You're trying to pull the wool over everybody's eyes, but I see right through you.
We both see right through her. We've got raccoon eyes.
Yeah.
We can see in the dark.
Yeah.
We're nocturnal.